this video, we're going to be grokking monads through cooking and baking metaphors. So a metaphor describes an object or some kind of action in a way that is not exactly true, but it's close enough to explain an idea or make some comparison. Someone might say that metaphors in software engineering are catastrophic and terrible, but I would say, really? Let's look at a couple of typical statements that we say in the industry. This is a very expensive operation. Use it with caution for large projects. Or these constructs are the foundation for many of the libraries. Beware how much disk space it consumes. This is a raw response. We need to blah blah blah. Or a program died due to fatal signals. Metaphors structure how we think, behave, perceive, and reason about the world. So let's talk about baking biscuits. Imagine that you want some biscuits, but unfortunately we're not JavaScript developers and we cannot get biscuits out of thin air. So we actually have to make them. Let's start with a recipe. Please open your copy of the Joy of Cooking on the page 633. We see 2 recipes on this page. And we are lazy developers and we don't want to roll anything. We are gonna just make quick drop biscuits. Let's look at the recipe on the right. First, we have to preheat the oven. And then we have to prepare the dough. But notice how instead of listing the exact instructions, the recipe just says prepare the part of the other recipe and then use the results here. Let's sit with it for a second. The recipe is a way to describe how to get things done. And the recipe can combine instructions into more complex instructions. Do you know what else does the same? A monad. Monad is a way to describe how to get things done as well. Monad can combine instructions into more complex instructions as well. So just like recipes, monad computations have results that are reflected in the types. Given a monad m, a value of type ma is a computation resulting in a value of type A. This code is a direct translation of the recipe from the above. Take a look at the prepare roll biscuit dry dough. Remember how the recipe said prepare the part of the other recipe and then use the result here and some other instructions? Just like recipe, monads are modular. They allow computation to be composed of simpler instructions or computations. Prepare roll biscuits dry dough function, for example, could be easily defined somewhere else in some other module and reused in multiple places. Just like recipes, monad can be used to create imperative style instructions. As a result of one computation decides what to do next. This idea is represented by the bind operation. It's this weird looking arrow here. We read it from top to bottom. First step is just preheating an oven, but then we have to prepare all biscuits dry dough, returns a dry dough. And then we take this dry dough and use it in together with a cup of milk. We get raw dough as a result, and so on. Notice that we cannot use the dry dough if we have not prepared it yet. Just like recipes, monads separate instructions from the actual computations being performed. At some point, this M has to be a concrete data type, and the implementation will define how to run these operations and computations. For example, you could use simple I/O, or you can ask your mom to help you with errors in case something bad happens. We can write code that works for all monads. A generic recipe ensures that we could solve a wide variety of problems using the same code. It doesn't matter if you're baking it yourself, if you're baking it together with your friends, or if you're playing around in a cooking simulator. Metaphors are nice and simple. I personally love metaphors, but metaphors shouldn't be a substitute for real understanding. Use metaphors as a Kickstarter and not as a finished goal. Even this wonderful homemade baking metaphor we just covered only partially covers the computational side of monads. Monads don't always behave like computations. So let's look at another quite popular metaphor. Somebody might tell you that a monad is like a box of chocolates, but I'm sorry to break it to you, the life is not as simple. Sure, you could think of maybes and list as boxes, but you might get a wrong and limited intuition of monads. For example, good luck trying to get something out of IO. And a monad is what it is, not more, not less. And I just want to reemphasize, don't read monad tutorials. But in case you're really interested and you want to work on a puzzle, trying to figure out, please check out the rest of the course, including the exercises to test what we have learned. Thank you for watching.